This week's episode of the Cheech and Kern Wrestling Podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/cheechandkern. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. That's www.audibletrial.com/cheechandkern.
Welcome everybody to the Cheech and Kern. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Cheech and Kern Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Cheech, alongside my main man, Kern. What up, Kern?
What up, Cheech? What's going on?
Nothing, man. We're back here, bigger, better than ever on the Cheech and Kern Wrestling Podcast. And, of course, today we're doing Survivor Series 1987. I mean, damn, Kern, it's been a while since we've done a podcast, and recently, before we get into this, it's a shame we're dedicating part of this podcast to the memory of Rowdy Piper, passed away recently this week at the age of 61 from cardiac arrest. So it's kind of a low blow for the wrestling industry in general. Any thoughts on Rowdy Piper, Kern, before we get on to this?
Yeah, it was sad to hear that Rowdy Piper passed away. I mean, he was one of the all-time greats, and he's going to be missed by a lot of people. And I'm going to miss him. I used to listen to his podcast a lot, so I'm going to miss that also.
Yeah, that's true. So well, I guess Dusty Rhodes and our man Rowdy Piper now in heaven, so they're watching over the wrestling industry there. But Kern, so here we go, Survivor Series 1987, and the reason we chose this episode or this show for this episode, I should say, was because last podcast we did Starrcade 1987, and of course that was our tribute show to the late great Dusty Rhodes. You guys can go back and check that out if you haven't checked that out. And it was funny because Starrcade 1987 actually took place the same day as WWF Survivor Series 1987. So we had some wars going on between NWA and WWF back in the day before WCW and WWF started the Monday Night Wars.
Yeah, there was a war going on before all that hit the fan.
Yeah, that's right. And basically the way it started, as I believe it was, the NWA, they had booked Starrcade for Thanksgiving night, 1987, and Vince McMahon booked Survivor Series, kind of to counter that. And Starrcade was on pay-per-view. So what Vince did was he booked Survivor Series on pay-per-view, but he threatened all these cable providers, is like, if you don't carry Survivor Series and you carry Starrcade, I'm not going to allow you to carry WrestleMania 4. And of course, this was coming out of WrestleMania 3, which was one of the biggest pay-per-views ever at that time, where you had Hogan versus Andre, 93,000 fans. So I mean, he kind of blackmailed.
Where was he going to put WrestleMania if he didn't put it pay-per-view?
I know, but it was kind of when you think about it, I think this was the first pay-per-view that NWA ever produced. Before that, it was on closed circuit television or free TV. So NWA was kind of unproven at that point, and Vince McMahon was the golden goose, so to speak. So I mean, the cable providers had to go with him, because if he threatens not to give you WrestleMania, and WrestleMania is going to be a big success, I mean, it's going to bring a huge loss.
Right, but where would he, if he don't put it at the pay-per-view, where would he put it? Like free TV? I mean, it's got to go somewhere.
Yeah, but I mean, that would work if all the cable companies would kind of unite, make like some type of union or something. Be like, no, fuck you, we're going to carry both of them, and that's it, But it wasn't like that back in the day. I guess everybody was kind of chipping in their own direction, and so he just kind of had them by the balls, I guess.
I guess. It's business.
Yeah. So we reviewed last week, as I mentioned, Starrcade 1987. You guys can go back, check that out, and then come back and listen to this one to kind of see how those two shows compare to each other on the same night.
Yeah, that was interesting that they had them both at the same night. But let's see how the show did.
That's right. Yep. So it's WWF Survivor Series 1987. It took place on November 26th, 1987, and it was in the Richfield Coliseum in Richfield Township, Ohio. And it was funny because at one point during the event, Jesse the Body Ventura was like, "This is Richfield Township, Ohio." And Gorilla's like, yeah, we're actually close to Cleveland. He's like, yeah, this is a suburb of Cleveland. It's just worse. I want to get out of here tonight. So, Jesse being the typical heel, he wears back in 1987. Now, one of the big contrasts here from the NWA Starrcade event to this event was NWA had 8,000 fans. This event had 21,300. I mean, they basically almost tripled the fans that NWA Starrcade had in their arena at that time.
Yeah, that was interesting because Starrcade was in Chicago. I mean, Chicago is one of the biggest venues out there.
That's right. That's right.
I think a little bit bigger than Richfield Township, Ohio.
That's right. Yeah. So the commentators here are Gorilla Monsoon and Jesse the Body Ventura, as we mentioned before. And since this is the first ever Survivor Series, Gorilla Monsoon goes over the rules and the ways of elimination to each match. And he explains that the wrestlers can get eliminated by pinfall, submission, count out, disqualification, or the referee's discretion, pain and an injury. So if any of the wrestlers got injured, the referee had the discretion to disqualify them from the match or get them out of the match, just as a safety net, just in case anything happens. So now this was a 3-hour pay-per-view event. Now it was a 3-hour pay-per-view event, but they only had 4 matches. So I mean, you can tell they were kind of like stalling for time. Right at the beginning, they kind of went to Jesse the Body Ventura. They were talking a little bit, going over these ways of elimination. Then they went into a backstage interview, where they interviewed the Honky Tonk Man and his team. He had his whole team, and they were hyping up the match that was going to come up. The very first match that was going to come up. They had a backstage interview. They cut back to Gorilla Monsoon and Jesse the Body Ventura, and then they cut back again, and they have another backstage interview. This time with the Macho Man and his team, and they're hyping up the match they're going to have with Honky Tonk's Man team. So then we go straight ahead to the first match, Kern. And
that's right. This is a good match. I was very looking forward to this match when it was announced.
Yep. And the first match, of course, we have Team Macho Man Randy Savage, and he's accompanied by Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Jake the Snake Roberts, and Brutus the Barber Beefcake.
That's right. And they went up against King Harley Race, Hercules, Outlaw Ron Bass. I like Ron Bass. He was one of those badass Texans that always looked really badass and hard-ass, ready to fight.
And he looked like a complete badass in this match, I must say.
No shit. Also was Dangerous Danny Davis, referee turned wrestler, and the Honky Tonk Man, which was the captain of the team.
The greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time.
The greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. I like Honky. I seen Honky live over here not too long ago, and it was interesting.
Yeah, well, you had an interesting story with Honky Tonk Man in one of our previous podcasts. If you guys haven't heard that, I suggest you guys go back and check it out. One of the different types of scenarios the Honky Tonk Man is at in the independent wrestling scene nowadays.
That's right. Well, back to Survivor Series. The match started off with Briefcake and Hercules in a quick pace, with quick in and out tags for the baby faces and the heels. The pace then slowed down a little bit when King Harley Race gets into the match with Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. They fight for a bit, then Hacksaw Jim Duggan is tagged in by Steamboat. Both men fight their way outside of the ring, and both men get counted out for the first elimination of the match.
Now, this was kind of weird.
Right, because you could get either it's submission, elimination, disqualification, pinfall, so you can be eliminated in any which way. What do you think of that first elimination there, Cheech?
I don't know. It was kind of weird because I would expect Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Harley Race. I mean, these are two kind of brutal guys, and they were going into an on feud. At that time, they were going to a brutal feud. But I thought they would be in the match a little bit longer. This happened in the first 2 minutes of the match. Basically, they both eliminated themselves.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, when they were trying to stretch for time, why would they eliminate somebody that quick?
That's right.
Anyway, in the match, Macho Man gets in Ron Bass. Ron Bass dominates most of the encounter until Macho Man is able to blind tag Beefcake, who nails Bass with a high knee to the back of the head and pins Bass. Now, that was another quick, pin. Honky Tonk Man then gets in there and breaks down Beefcake by working his left arm. Honky Tonk Man is able to hit the shake, rattle, and roll on Beefcake for the pin. That was one of my favorite finishing maneuvers, was that shake, rattle, and roll.
And that was kind of like, he just kind of like, I mean, it's called a shake, rattle, and roll, but it's kind of like a swinging DDT, right? That's what he does, like a little swinging DDT.
Swinging net breaker, I think is what they called it before.
Okay.
Oh, well. And then Macho Man gets into the ring again and works on by Honky Tonk Man, Danny Davis, and Hercules. Macho Man is able to tag in Jake Roberts, who goes toe-to-toe with Hercules. Danny Davis later tags in and works over Jake Roberts, but Roberts fires up and makes a comeback and nails the DDT and Davis for the pin.
Man, I'm sorry for interrupting there, Kern. The people go nuts for that DDT. Man, that DDT back in the day was the shit. Whenever you see Jake the Snake Roberts hit that DDT, or Arn Anderson hit his DDT, people just go fucking nuts.
Yeah, well, I think they said that wasn't Jake the Snake Roberts? I think the guy who invented the DDT.
Yeah, and the DDT is actually it's kind of like a poison to kill snakes and shit like that. That's why it was called the DDT. That's why he named that move the DDT.
Oh, I remember he's the one that actually invented the move. Oh, back to the match. Hercules then comes in and drops Roberts with a clothesline to the back of the head. Honky Tonk Man and Hercules double team Roberts for a while. Robert is then able to build a comeback and get a hot tag to Ricky Steamboat. The Dragon then beats down Hercules and nails a high-flying chop off the top rope to drop Hercules. I used to like that high-flying chop Steamboat. Steamboat then quickly tags in Macho Man, who runs to the top of the rope and lands a big elbow on Hercules for the count. 1, 2, 3. It's down to Honky Tonk Man versus Macho Man, Steamboat, and Jake the Snake Roberts. Honky then gets in the ring and is able to get a temporary advantage on Macho Man. Randy Savage is able to counter the tag with Steamboat. By this point, Jesse Ventura starts selling the idea that if Honky gets injured, he might have to forfeit the title and he can't defend it. He says Honky should look back at the bigger picture with these odds. All three baby faces team up with Honky Tonk Man as they are in full control of the match. Finally, Macho Man gets back and does his atomic drop, which takes Honky over the top rope. Once on the floor, the Honky Tonk Man goes straight to the back and gets counted out, giving the victory to the Macho Man, Randy Savage, Jake the Snake Roberts, and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat at 24 minutes of the match. What do you think about the match, Chief?
This was a good, exciting opening match, and I thought it was a little weird the way they booked it when I was watching it. I was like, wait a minute, why would you give the advantage, a 3-1 advantage, to the baby faces? Because basically they were just kicking his ass. They were triple teaming him. They were just beating his ass. And of course, Gorilla Monsoon was trying to save this, saying, "Oh well, he's getting his comeuppance. You know, he pushed down Miss Elizabeth in the previous weeks and everything, so he's getting what's coming to him." But Jesse the Body Ventura is like, no, he's doing exactly what he's supposed to do. He's leaving the match. Why would he risk getting injured? There's no way he's gonna beat these three guys 3-1. He's very smart, you know. And I kind of liked it because the people were going nuts for this. This was a real good, hot match to begin this whole event.
Yeah, it was a good match. It took 24 minutes, but it was a good match.
That's right. Then after that, we get to a backstage interview with Bobby the Brain Heenan and Andre Giant as they hype up the main event. Now, this was a big fucking team. When I started looking at these guys, you know, you had Bobby the Brain Heenan, Andre the Giant, King Kong Bundy, One Man Gang, Ravishing Rick Rude, and the natural Butch Reed. Now, of course, when you look at that team, you're like, all right, obviously Rick Rude is going to be the workhorse in this match because there's no fucking way Andre the Giant, King Kong Bundy, and One Man Gang are going to be the workhorses. But they actually surprise you in the match when we get to the main event. So, yeah, this was a huge team, and it looked like insurmountable odds for the Hulkamaniacs, so to speak.
Yeah, it's going to be a good match. Andre the Giant, every time Andre the Giant's in any match is always going to be a good main event.
Yep, that's true. That's true. Then after that, we go to the second match, Kern, and I got to be totally honest with you. I thought this fucking match rocked. This match, I started watching it, and I was like, you know, it's not going to be that interesting. Bullshit. This match, if you guys have not seen Survivor Series 1987, I recommend you go back. Go to the WWE Network. Go to YouTube. Go to Dailymotion. Go wherever the fuck you guys watch wrestling and find this match. This is the second match, and of course, it's the Glamour Girls, Dawn Marie, Donna Cristianello, Sensational Sherry, who was the women's champion at the time.
That's right, and they were going up against Velvet McIntyre, Rockin' Robin, the Jumping Bomb Angels, and the Fabulous Moolah.
That's right. This was a badass. And here we go. And the match starts off with Sherry and Velvet McIntyre, which much like the match before, the action starts off with quick in and out tags on both teams. The pace then slows down with McIntyre and Donna Cristianello, as McIntyre is able to perform a sunset flip on Cristianello for the quick pin. So that happened like in the first 2 minutes. She gets a quick pin, so she's out of there. Then back and forth action between both teams with quick tags in and out until Dawn Marie is eliminated by one of the Jumping Bomb Angels. Then the Jumping Bomb Angels really speed up the pace of the match with the high-flying maneuvers all over the place. And when I say high-flying maneuvers, these fucking girls were jumping everywhere. They would get on the top rope. They would do sunset flips. They would do cross bodies. They were just going all over the place. The strong...
Which is funny because you're not expecting to see that with these... I mean, you know, now when you see the Divas or the Knockouts in TNA or whatever, you expect to see high-flying maneuvers like that. You didn't expect to see that in 1987, especially with these women that were like soccer moms or something like that.
Yeah, because I mean, none of them, I swear, I don't think any of these women were younger than 30 years old. Maybe the Jumping Bomb Angels, I'm not sure how old they were. But none of these women were under 30. Hell, I dare even say, I think they were even closer to 40.
Yeah, I agree with you there. But man, they can kick ass.
Yep. So the Jumping Bomb Angels really speed up the pace of the match with high-flying maneuvers all over the place. The crowd starts going nuts with these two. The baby faces are dominating the heels thanks to this offensive onslaught by the Angels. Sherry is then able to take control and pin Rockin' Robin. Again, one of the Bomb Angels gets in the ring, and the action picks up again. Back and forth action once again between the two teams. The match then gets rough with Moolah gets in the ring. She reminds me of a feminine version of Harley Race. I don't know why, because just seeing Harley Race the match before and see her in here, she just reminded me of that.
Yeah, two old school wrestlers that just go in there and take care of business.
That's right. She starts nailing one of the Glamour Girls which then tags in a Bombing Angel. The action quicken again with in and out tag team from both teams. The Moolah gets double clothesline by the Glamour Girls for the pin. So now it's down to 3 versus 3. The action then gets stiff as they start applying suplexes and Boston Crabs and hard forearms to the chest. I mean, these women were they were kicking the shit out of each other. Then out of nowhere, McIntyre is able to get a quick pin on the women's champion, Sherry. So this kind of sets her up as the #1 contender there. One of the Jumping Bomb Angels then performs a double hook suplex on one of the Glamour Girls. Leilani Kai is then able to pin McIntyre after a slingshot back body drop to the mat. Now, McIntyre, I think she legitimately hurt her back at some point during the match, or she was doing a hell of a solid job because she was holding her back a lot. And at one point, it looked like she was going to do a move, and she couldn't lift her up, and she just kind of went to her knees and tagged in the other lady. So I don't know if she really got hurt in that match, or she was just selling it.
Well, she did. She sold it right.
Yep, that's right. So then we're down to 2 versus 2. The Glamour Girls, who are the women's tag team champions at the time, going up against the Jumping Bomb Angels. Once the action picks up again with high-flying moves from the top rope, the Leilani Kai is then pinned by a Jumping Bomb Angel. Then Jimmy Hart gets on the apron to distract the referee with one of the Angels drops kicking to the ground as the other is able to nail flying clothesline from the top rope for the pinfall. 20 minutes, the winners and sole survivors, the Jumping Bomb Angels, and this would eventually set up the 2 out of 3 falls match for the women's tag team titles that will take place in Royal Rumble 1988, which we reviewed in one of our first episodes of the Cheech and Kern Wrestling Podcast. So if you guys have not heard that, I recommend you go back. The Royal Rumble 1988, we reviewed it already, and it features a 2 out of 3 falls match between the Jumping Bomb Angels and the Glamour Girls. Of course, it wasn't as good a match as this one, but it was pretty damn good.
Yeah, it was a good match. I remember us talking about that match, and we were talking the same thing. We weren't expecting that match to be as much as it turned out to be, which ended up being very entertaining at the time.
That's right. So this was a real good match. And so far, if you think about it, we got 2 matches in. The first match was 24 minutes. This match was how long did I say this match was? 20 minutes. So we're less than an hour into the pay-per-view of a 3-hour pay-per-view, and we already have 2 matches now.
Yeah, for somebody that was scrunchy for time, they kind of went a little quick on that one. But actually, this third match ends up being a 20-man tag team elimination match, so it's going to be a doozy.
Yep, that's right. First, before we get there, they go to a backstage interview. They interview the Hart Foundation, which they were the team captains, and all those like 10 men there. They all have up the next match. Then they go back to another backstage interview with Strikeforce, and basically the way they were doing this, Mean Gene was kind of interviewing all of the good guys, right? And what was his name? George Capetta, was it? No, was it George Capetta? George the Cave. I can't remember his name. Yeah, but it was that guy. He was basically interviewing all of the heels. So they would kind of go back and forth between those 2 guys. So then our third match, Kern, is nothing more than a 20-man tag team elimination match, Survivor Series style. Now, Gorilla Monsoon says all the rules apply, the same rules apply, for one exception. If your tag team partner is pinned, eliminated, disqualified, or whatever, you're also pinned, eliminated, disqualified, or whatever, so you must go. Your tag team partner goes, you go.
So it was the team eliminations.
Yeah, it was team elimination, exactly. So then we got Strikeforce, which is composed by Tito Santana and Rick the Model. Well, he wasn't Rick the Model Martel back then. He was Rick Martel. They were the WWF Tag Team Champions. The Killer Bees was a Jumping Jim Brunzell and Brian B. Blair. The British Bulldogs, Dynamite Kid and Davey Boy Smith. And the Rougeau brothers, Jacques and Raymond. And the Young Stallions, actually, Paul Roman and Jim Powers. I kind of like that tag team of the Young Stallions, Paul Roman and Jim Powers.
Yeah, they had a good look to them, but I didn't like them too much, and they didn't go too far. And they were actually going up against the Hart Foundation, Bret the Hitman Hart and Jim D'Anville Neidhart, the Islanders, Haku and Tama, which were a good tag team. I like Haku and Tama. Mm-hmm. Demolition, Axe and Smash, the Bolsheviks, Nikolai Volkov and Boris Zukov, and the new Dream Team of Greg the Hammer Valentine and Dino Bravo.
Now, why was it the new Dream Team?
Well, the old Dream Team, which was the original Dream Team, used to be Greg the Hammer Valentine and Brutus the Barber Briefcase.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. I didn't know that. I don't remember.
Remember WrestleMania 3 when they were the tag team champions and they were defending the titles and they got beat, and then Dino Bravo and Greg the Hammer Valentine started beating up on Brutus Beefcake, and that's how
the new Dream Team was a big. Okay.
All right. The new team was the start. Well, this match starts off with Nikolai Volkov and Rick Martel. They go back and forth for a little bit. Volkov then tags in his partner Zukov, which is weird. Volkov and Zukov, these Russian names.
Yeah.
As Martel tags in Santana. As they go at it, Santana is able to nail a flying forearm. I used to like when Bobby the Brain Heenan used to call it the flying burrito. You know, he's hitting him with the flying burrito.
Yeah.
Well, he hits him with that flying forearm to Zukov and gets the pin. Part of the stipulation of the match is if your partner is eliminated, then you are eliminated as well.
Mm-hmm.
Quick in and out tags between the different tag teams keep the action going back and forth. Then the Rougeau brothers are eliminated by demolition when they get themselves eliminated after a few minutes of pushing off the referee and not obeying the rules.
That was kind of stupid, though. The demolition just eliminated themselves by not following the rules of the referee.
Right. Well, you know, they had to do it because if they had the stipulation as an elimination, somebody's got to get eliminated by it for just to prove the point.
Yeah.
Well, then the pace quickens up a little bit as the bulky guys are being eliminated. Then the Hart Foundation is able to get the pinfall on Tito Santana. So the tag team champs were pinned by the Hart Foundation and sets them up as the #1 contenders. I like when they do that, when they set up, you know, these matches like this, when you pin the champion, because usually when you pin the champion, you end up being the #1 contender.
That's how it was always back in the day. You pin the #1, you pin the champion, you automatically become the #1 contender. You watch Raw or you watch wrestling these days, you fucking pin the champion, it's like nothing happens.
Yeah, they only use that stipulation when it's to their advantage.
Yeah.
Well, as we get back to the match, back and forth action again between all teams. Quick in and out tags are in order of the day. Haku is able to eliminate the Dynamite Kid after he goes for a flying headbutt from the top rope and hurts himself. Haku is hit with a sidekick and pins him and pins him.
Yeah, you know, Dynamite Kid used to always did that diving headbutt, right? But he fucking did a diving headbutt on one of the Islanders, which got like fucking rocks for head, so he kind of hurt himself there, and he got pinned.
Hey, actually, Chris Benoit got his flying headbutt from the Dynamite Kid.
From the Dynamite Kid, that's right.
Well, back and forth action once again as Paul Roma is able to hit a driving sunset flip on Valentine to get the pin. By this point, Gorilla Monsoon has called this event a happening about 2,000 times. Now,
yeah, did you notice that, Kern? He's like, oh, it's a happening. It's a happening.
He does that all the time. He did that at WrestleMania when Steamboat was bringing out his kid. And he's like, this kid's it's some sort, he knows it's some sort of happening. He just don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Which was, you know, funny. But then the Hart Foundation and the Islanders versus the Killer Bees and the Young Bucks, and the Young Stallions, I call them the Young Bucks.
Not the Young Bucks. The Young Bucks would have come for like 20 years later. So.
Oh, shit. Action goes back and forth for a while. Then a little mishap occurs between the Islanders and the Hart Foundation as Tama inadvertently drop kicks Bret Hart, and Jim Brunzell is able to roll up Bret Hart for the pin. The Islanders are the only team left on their side, but they're able to single out a jumping Jim Brunzell in the corner and dominate for most part. Then the action gets out of control as the ref got distracted by Brian Blair as he's able to get the pinfall after he puts on the Killer Bee mask and gets the pin illegally for the win at 37 minutes. The winners are the Young Stallions and the Killer Bees. What do you think about that match, Cheech?
This was a good match, and I kind of liked the way they structured it. Basically what they did, right? They had all these bulky teams, you know, the Volkovs. They had all these fucking big guys. And then little by little, they started eliminating those guys like early on the match. And then for like the last 15, 20 minutes of the match, it was like all workhorse teams, you know? And they started fucking going the paces, you know, when I say workhorse team, we're talking about the Bulldogs, we're talking about the Hart Foundation, we're talking about the Killer Bees. You know, these were teams that could go in the ring. And I like the way they structured it. They got all those bulky guys out of the way. They were in the match, but they got rid of them quickly. And then they structured that match. And they got, by the end of this, the fucking people were going nuts when the Killer Bees were able to pin these guys.
The only thing I didn't like about it was that it lasted 37 minutes, and it was like a very long match. And like 2/3 of the match, I was already getting ready to like, okay, next match.
Wow, but I was kind of watching it, and for me, it kind of zipped by. I don't know if I was paying too much attention to like the details of the match, but I mean, it kind of flied by. And the thing was, the Islanders, I mean, it goes back to details. I mean, Jesse the Body Ventura, during the point where the Islanders were dominating Jumping Jim Ranzel, he's like, this is what Bobby the Brain Heenan brings to the Islanders. I mean, these guys are unmatched, 4 guys against 2, and they're dominating these tag teams here. And he's like, this is the work of Bobby the Brain Heenan. This is why he's in the corner. This is why he gets these man contracts and everything that. And I mean, it's just these little details that they go into that make this, make the old school wrestling be such badass as it was before, you know. And then the fucking crowd are going nuts because everybody thought the Islanders were actually going to eliminate, the Jumping Beans until all hell breaks loose.
Yeah, I like that changing of the mask thing. That leaves that little controversy behind.
Yep. So then after that, Kern, we're basically 3 matches. We're 3/4 of the matches away in the pay-per-view, and we're still, not even close to. I would say we're a little bit over the 2-hour mark by this point. So then we go to a video package, which basically tells us about the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. Well, now, $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase has been in the WWF for a while at this point. But they kind of do a little, video package where they have him eating his turkey dinner.
Dinner.
Yeah, they have him then going to a pool and buying a pool, like having everybody get out of the pool. Like, I don't know why the fuck he would want to go to a public pool if he's a millionaire. You can have a whole pool, pool as his house. But I guess it was the fact to try to have him, set up everything over there. Then they had, they were showing like the little video package where he would offer money to the crowd. Like, oh, I'll give you $500 if you could bounce this basketball 10 times to a little kid. And then when he got to 9, he'll kick the ball away, and the little kid started crying. So no, they were really putting Ted DiBiase over as a real prick here at Thanksgiving Day. Then after that, you can tell they're stalling for time because then we go to Mean Gene Okerlund. He goes up. The WWF back in the day used to do their interviews kind of like in the arena, in the crowd, kind of facing the ring. Right. So they have Mean Gene standing there. Honky Tonk Man comes out with Jimmy Hart. And he started explaining, why the fuck he left. And he's like, I don't have to prove myself to anybody. I'm the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. And hell, I'll beat Hulk Hogan if he puts his belt on the line. I'll put it against my line and I'll whoop his ass too. Basically, that's, I'm not saying it verbatim here, but that's basically what he was saying. And so they brought a little bit of time there. And then they go back and they do an interview again with Hulk Hogan and his Hulkamaniacs team, and they hype up the match. And we go to the main event, Kern, of the evening.
The main event of the evening, which is Andre the Giant. This is a huge, huge team. Massive.
Yep.
Andre the Giant, the one-man gang, King Kong Bundy, the Natural Butch Reed, and Ravishing Rick Rude.
That's right. And they're going up against Hulk Hogan, who, of course, was the WWF champion at the time. Paul Orndorff, has he always been Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff? Yeah? Okay. Mr. Wonderful Paul. Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff, and I say that because you guys who are following us here in WCW Flashback City, Cheech and Kern's WCW Flashback City, we're going to talk about Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff coming up in the next episode. So I just wanted to make sure he was named Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff here. But of course it was Hulk Hogan, Paul Orndorff, Don the Rock Morocco. This guy was a fucking, the name The Rock fit very well this guy. He was just made out of stone.
Actually, if I'm not mistaken, ain't his name now the Magnificent Morocco?
Well, they were calling him The Rock, Don the Rock Morocco, during the match. So I don't know, maybe it was later on that he changed as the Magnificent Don Morocco, but here they were still calling him The Rock. Then we got Ken Patera. He was an Olympian, not like the former Olympian champion or something like that. Gorilla Monsoon kept on saying Ken Patera.
Yeah, he was the weightlifting champion in the Olympics in '76.
Yeah. And then, of course, Bam Bam Bigelow. Now, to me, the dark horse was Bam Bam Bigelow, and man, did this guy fucking deliver in this match.
You got him as a dark horse? I think Bam Bam Bigelow was badass.
I guess I didn't, when I started watching it, I didn't expect to see all the shit he did in this match. It was kind of weird. And so, I don't know, but he was my dark horse here. I didn't expect to see everything that I saw of Bam Bam Bigelow in this match, but...
Bro, Bam Bigelow was bad. He was bad in '87.
Yep, that's right. So the match starts off with Don the Rock Morocco versus Rick Rude, and the action starts fast-paced with in and out tags between the baby faces attacking Rude. The crowd is going nuts at that point. The crowd was hot at this match ever since Hulk Hogan made his, he came into the ring and people are already going nuts with it, the real American and everything.
Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant in the ring. The crowd's always gonna be.
Yeah, now to kind of set this up, we had Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant at WrestleMania 3, and they had not faced each other, and this was going to be the first time they were both going to be in the ring at the same time. So this was a big deal at that time. Establishing early that Rick Rude is going to be the workhorse for this match, Butch Reed is then tagged in by Rude and suffers the same fate, as he's made quick work of out of when Hulk Hogan nails the big boot and the leg drop for the pin. Next in the ring is Andre the Giant. Now, you know, Hulk Hogan pins Butch Reed, and he starts fucking. Hulk Hogan did this a lot. He would get start excited, get all excited, and start celebrating, and he would start tagging everybody's hand in the corner.
Right.
So the first person he tagged was Ken Pathera's hand. So then when he turns around and he sees fucking Andre the Giant in the middle ring, he's like, oh, and everybody's going nuts, like, yeah, you had kind of like that stare down, and then the fucking referee gets in the middle, like, no, you gotta get out of the ring, get out of the ring. And Hogan's like, what are you talking about? He's like, no, you tagged, you gotta get out of the ring. So then Jesse the Body Ventura, being as quick-witted as he is, he's like, see, here we go, Joey Moretta. He's defending Hogan again. He doesn't want him to face Andre the Giant because he know he got beat. And this and that. So that's what they're trying to sell in this match, right? So Hulk Hogan gets out. Ken Patera gets in. And then Andre, basically what he does, he tags out and he goes and then the action goes full force once again. He tags out of the ring. You know, Andre actually didn't fight in this match just until the very end. It's basically when he was able to fight in this match.
Well, yeah, he's the main attraction, so you try to hold him off towards the end.
Yeah, that's right. Then the actions.
You don't want to give him too much.
That's true. But the people were going nuts. They wanted to see Andre the Giant get his ass kicked by Hulk Hogan. So then the action slows down a little bit with Ken Patera and One Man Gang, as One Man Gang is able to take Patera to his corner and get triple teamed by the heels. The crowd is going nuts trying to get Patera to fight back, but One Man Gang is able to squash Patera in the middle of the ring and get the pinfall. Back and forth action once again, and the people are on their feet. Orndorff is eliminated by Rick Rude after he attacks him from behind. Then Don the Rock Morocco comes in and takes on Rick Rude and is able to get a quick pinfall on him. So these guys are falling left and right here.
Kicking ass and taking names.
Yep, excuse me. King Kong Bundy then makes his way into the ring and goes after Morocco. He attacks him for a while and then tags in One Man Gang. After a few cheap shots by Gang, is able to splash Morocco in the middle of the ring for the pin. So One Man Gang got 2 eliminations in this match already. So it's now the Hulk Hogan and Bam Bam Bigelow against Andre the Giant, One Man Gang, and King Kong Bundy. I mean, talk about insurmountable odds for these guys.
There's a bunch of big guys left.
Yep. The heels take advantage and dominate Bam Bam for a while with in and out tags, keeping him away from his corner. The crowd builds anticipation, waiting for Hulk to get the tag. Just as Andre makes his way into the ring, Bam Bam is able to duck a punch from Andre and tag in Hulk Hogan. The crowd goes nuts, everybody starts screaming. Ah! Hogan starts attacking Andre the Giant with kicks to the midsection, punches. They go toe to toe, but then Hogan's gonna go to the corner, trying to not to the corner, to the rope. He works himself to the rope, and what's his face? One Man Gang, not One Man Gang. King Kong Bundy grabs him by the leg. He drags him outside. They start fighting, kicking each other everywhere. They're fighting everywhere. As Hogan and Bundy fight in the floor, he gets counted out, and he is forced to go to the back. You know, he comes after he kicks King Kong Bundy's ass. He gets counted out. He tries to get in the ring. The referee's like, no, you got counted out. So Hogan's like, no, I don't give a shit. I'm going to keep fighting. So then Errol Hefner has to go to the ring announcers. Like, if Hogan doesn't go to the back, he's going to assign the winning match to Andre the Giant. So that makes Hulk Hogan go to the back. And then we got One Man Gang, King Kong Bundy, and Andre the Giant to go up with Bam Bam Bigelow. You got these 3 monsters left in the ring. So then Bam Bam.
Bigelow.
Yeah, and this is where fucking Bam Bam Bigelow shined. Bam Bam Bigelow is able to hit a drop kick on Bundy and then drops an elbow to the groin area. Bam Bam then proceeds to do a splash over the top rope onto Bundy to get the pin. Now this was fucking Bam Bam Bigelow. I mean, he had to be at least 350. I'm not sure what was his weight, but I mean, he had to be at least 350. And he was fucking doing drop kicks, throwing himself off the top rope. Then he did an over the top rope splash on King Kong Bundy. He gets the pin. Then One Man Gang attacks Bam Bam from behind and attempts a couple of pinfalls as Bam Bam kicks out. People are still going nuts here. They're chanting Bam Bam, Bam Bam, Bam Bam. One Man Gang makes a mistake as he tries to do a splash from the second rope, but Bam Bam moves out of the way and is able to pin the stunned One Man Gang. And then by this point, Bam Bam is pretty fatigued, and Andre the Giant gets in the ring and he's able to make short work of Bam Bam Bigelow with a double axe suplex for the pin. 22 minutes. Andre the Giant is the sole survivor and the winner of the Survivor Series main event.
I like that Andre won it. I like that Andre won it at the end.
It made total sense. I mean,
yeah, it made complete total sense of having Andre win it, and he was the sole survivor. I liked this match. This was, I think, my favorite match of the night. just because Andre was in it and the way it ended up. And Bam Bam Bigelow did a great job there at the end by himself, showcasing his talents out there.
Yeah, I was very impressed by Bam Bam Bigelow. And I mean, I know he's because I'm more familiar with Bam Bam Bigelow's work in later years, 93, whatever it was when he was in WCW. And, he wasn't as athletic and moving as he was here. So when I saw that here, I was like, holy shit, Bam Bam was a badass back in the day.
I forget, Bam Bam was getting up in age back then, when you're talking about his later years in WCW in the late 90s.
Yeah. So the crowd is going nuts, but they're not going nuts for Andre the Giant. They're going nuts because fucking Hulk Hogan is sprinting towards the ring, and he gets in the ring and he attacks Andre the Giant with the championship belt. Andre bails the ring as Hogan is inviting Andre to come in and face him. He didn't scream it to the top of his lungs that Andre fights only for the belt. And the pay-per-view basically comes down to an end with the Real American playing on the sound system and Hogan posing for the crowd. And right before we go to black, Mean Gene Okerlund is in the back. He gets an interview with Bobby the Brain Heenan and Andre the Giant, and he says, you want Andre the Giant? You got Andre the Giant, but put your name on the dotted line, put your title on the line, and you're going to get Andre the Giant. And this, of course, would eventually set up, right, the contract signing that we would talk about in Royal Rumble 1988. Cheap plug again, go back and check out Royal Rumble 1988 if you guys haven't heard that podcast that we produced. Sure. And then they would set up that contract signing, which would eventually then set up the Saturday night's main event with nothing less than 32 million people saw that on NBC, which eventually then would create the whole controversy with the title, then eventually would lead to WrestleMania 4. So great storytelling here by the WWF in their time. Very good, very consistent, keeping you wanting to watch more. I think this is what made wrestling at this time period so badass, because you got to see the glimpses of what you wanted to see, but they never quite gave you exactly what it was until the big event.
Yeah, it was. I mean, going up against Starrcade that night, I think their main event kind of outshined Starrcade's main event.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, Starrcade '87, what was the main event? It was Ric Flair versus Ron Garvin for the for the NWA World Heavyweight Title in a steel cage match. And of course, when we talked about this in the last podcast, it wasn't Ric Flair's best match. It was a 15, 16-minute match, right? So to speak, it was kind of around that area against Ron Garvin, not a non-established main eventer yet at that time.
God, Ron Garvin was old. He was like in his 40s by then already.
Yeah. So overall, Kern, what do you think of Survivor Series 1987? What would be the rating you would give it out of a 10? Now you'll give it a 7. So you're going straight ahead. You're giving it exactly the same score you gave Starrcade 1987, which was a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm going to give it to Starrcade because Starrcade had more matches, a little bit more quality matches. And the reason I give 7 to this one is because the main event and then the women's match kind of took me by surprise.
Yeah, I gave my my review for this event is actually also, it's a 7.5, which is exactly what I gave Starrcade. Now when you're like, well, wait a minute, this event, when you think about it, the production value was better, obviously, than NWA. The main event was great, the people were going nuts. But yet again, it was a 3-hour pay-per-view with 4 matches. And Starrcade was basically, I think it was a 4-hour event. I can't remember if it was 3 hours or 4 hours. It had a shitload of great matches. But I can't give it, basically 7.5 to both of them. I have to go with an even draw on both of these events on the same night, on Thanksgiving night, 1987.
Yeah, I gotta agree. I mean, it was they were both different, but they were both entertaining.
That's right. So there you have it, Kern. We're talking about Survivor Series 1987, and so what are we gonna do next week, Kern? What do you got in mind for next show?
Well, thinking that Roddy Piper just passed away, I was thinking we could do something in memory of Roddy Piper. How about Royal Rumble 1992? He won the Intercontinental title that night, and he also had a chance for the WWF Championship at the Royal Rumble that night. So what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds good. Of course, I think of Royal Rumble 1992, and I think of Ric Flair, right, winning the WWF title. But it is an event where Roddy Piper did win their Intercontinental title, and I think that's one of the...
His only single title in the WWF.
That's right. So I think that's one hell of an event. We can go back and do a little tribute to the late Roddy Piper. And so that's going to be it. That's going to be Royal Rumble 1992 is going to come back to you guys on our next show. I want to remind you guys that you guys go to cheechandkern.proboards.com. There we have up our complete archive of podcasts. You guys can check us out there. You can also please subscribe on iTunes, on YouTube, on Stitcher. And for you guys who are not aware, this past week we had a little feature for our YouTube subscribers, especially for YouTube only. It's not going to be in the podcast feed. It's not going to be in the MP3 feed. Exclusively on YouTube. You guys can go right now and check out Cheech and Kern's YouTube channel, and you're going to be able to see an exclusive interview that Kern was able to get over there on site in Valparaiso, Indiana, with none other than Prime Cut Nick Cutler, as he was in Smash Mouth Pro Wrestling facing off former WWE superstar Bob Hardcore Holly.
That's right, and we could also check out it. We got parts of his match also there with the interview, so you can see the match with the interview.
That's right, you guys. It's a little special feature we got going on. We like to call it Cheech and Kern Extra. We're trying to do a couple more of these Cheech and Kern Extras. We're going to be doing it. They're going to be exclusive on YouTube, of course, because we're going to have the video. You guys will be able to see it and everything. But yeah, but please hit the subscribe button on YouTube, iTunes. You can also stream us on Stitcher. Please, you can send your questions, comments, and feedback at cheechandkern@gmail.com. I do get a lot of feedback on my Twitter account, which is at Wrestling Cheech. You can follow Kern at Onassis Cologne, Wrestling Kern. We get a lot of feedback through Twitter, but we prefer to get it at cheechandkern@gmail.com because it's just a little bit better when we're going to answer the questions. You don't get the feedback there. We kind of got it all in order, and it's just easier to do it that way. We have to go back and check out the direct messages on Twitter. It's just kind of a big clusterfuck to do that. So we prefer you guys, keep sending your feedback on Twitter, but if you guys want it answered on the show, send it to cheechandkern@gmail.com, and we'll be able to hook that up for you guys and speak it on the show.
That's right.
Yep, and we also want to make sure you guys are aware that for you, the listeners of the Cheech and Kern Wrestling Podcast, Audible.com is giving you guys a try. That's right. So they're offering you a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. You guys can download this week's choice, which is our pick is, yes, My Improbable Journey to the Main Event of Wrestlemania by Daniel Bryan. This is fresh, right on the shelf, so to speak. It just came out, and you guys can check it out right now. It has parts that is narrated by Daniel Bryan himself, so you guys can check that out for free. I don't know why you will want to pay $26 for it when you could get it free, thanks to Cheech and Kern and the Cheech and Kern Wrestling Podcast. Or you can download your choice of audiobook free by trying audible.com. Just go to www.audibletrial.com/CheechandKern and complete the sign-up process for the 30-day trial. Choose your audiobook and give their service a try. If you guys are not satisfied, you can cancel anytime during the trial. You will not be billed, but guess what? You can keep your free audiobook as our gift to you for being a loyal listener to the Cheech and Kern Wrestling Podcast. So remember to download your free audiobook today. Go to audibletrial.com/Cheech and Kern. Again, that's audibletrial.com/Cheech and Kern for your free audiobook. And yeah, so and finally, we want to thank you guys for downloading the show each and every week. You guys have been sticking with us. We appreciate it. The show's getting bigger, better. We try to bring production value to you guys. So yeah, any feedback, comments, you guys just send it over to cheechandkern@gmail.com, and that's about it, Kern. And we'll do the rest. That's right, Kern. So what's up, Kern? You got anything else?
That's it. We're out of here. It's closing time.
All right, people. Take care.
I got nothing else. It's closing time.